When we try to approach our physical bodies to change it, we always do it from a physical perspective. We're always trying to exercise our way out of a heavy body. And when we really look at that a little closer, it's not hard to see that it wasn't necessarily the lack of exercise that caused us to get to a place that we're not happy with. It was most likely related to the way that our mind felt, a sense of dissatisfaction with our life, a sense of wanting something to entertain us, something to captivate us. And we're really sold that by the food industries. We're sold foods in a way to bring about immediate pleasure rather than long-term vitality. What I see is that there's a disconnect in the approach, and we're continued to be sold a story that in order to find the right size body or to be comfortable in our body, we need to struggle. We need to struggle really hard physically in order to be in a body that feels good. Does that make any sense? Because to me, it sure does not. On the other hand, when we want to make our mind happy, we're told to go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and we're given some brain medicine, some chemicals, and we're not necessarily, for the most part, told to deal with our physical body. So on one hand, our physical problems we deal with physically, our mental problems we deal with on the mind level or mentally, and we're not connecting the dots. Actually, the true key to thriving is to taking governance of your mind, energy, and body yourself. And we talk a lot about mindfulness these days now. It's become very popular. Mindfulness is everywhere. It is the thing. And it's interesting to me. In my observation, a lot of folks who are interested in mindfulness are still somehow really disconnected with their physical dimension. And I can understand that. I actually grew up in a family in Berkeley, a lovely Berkeley, California. We were super progressive, holistic health. My parents are both holistic health practitioners, homeopathy, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine. I have incredible healer parents who raised me with such a wholesome environment. I have had incredible spiritual teachers. My first teacher was a Dakota Sioux ceremonial leader, and my later teacher was a Dzogchen master, which is the essence of all Tibetan spiritual traditions. And he's also the founder of the Shangshung Institute, where I studied Tibetan medicine, Professor Namkhai Norbu. So I've had incredible teachers and exposure to all this incredible health and wellness knowledge. But regardless of all of that, I still found myself in a body and a mindset that I was not happy with. And I really think that when I look around, I see that we have all of these really emerging, nice, holistic health, wellness, mindfulness, streams of knowledge or products, classes, workshops, all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, a lot of the time, a lot of us are still struggling to really feel like we're embodying what all of those messages that we're learning teach us. And I think, again, back to my point, one of the main reasons is that our mind and our body are fundamentally disconnected. For me, this was the case, I believe. I was doing yoga, I was practicing meditation, doing lots of things, but I still, my weight would go up and down. And I didn't really know why. I always really struggled with that. And over time, the first thing that I developed that was my main resource was a sense of self-compassion. And knowing that everything as it is right now is just fine. And this is the starting point that I think we all need to start from. When we try to grasp outside, when we try to grasp for what's unattainable, when we think there's something outside of us that we're missing, and we try to reach for that, we're already setting ourselves up for failure. We have got to start with a foundation that we want to end with. And that should be something of the nature of self-compassion, self-care, self-love, and generally cultivating a sense of feeling good inside of our body. So that's the first thing. But also, we need to understand how to connect that with our true aspirations or goals on a physical level. So let me use an example. A lot of times when we think of mindfulness, we think of meditation. Everybody wants to go meditate. It's the way to come to peace. But what happens when we get off of the pillow? How do we feel next? This is what is most important, right? How do we integrate this practice into our life? What I always come back to, and what I see a lot of, is that we miss the point that the first part of any meditation is how our physical body is positioned. Of course, we have the whole look of the crossed legs and the straight spine, but we gloss over that. It's all about how we're closing our eyes and sitting in a calm state. But the physical aspect is really important. If you sit slouched over, your mind gets a lot more unclear. But when you sit really with governing your physical dimension, you have agency over your nervous system and your breathing. And when your spine is straight, all your brain is connecting with your body. So just this point alone, I think is just very important, because I think we kind of miss the reality that we start meditation in our body. We don't start it in our mind. We have to sit down. We have to be in our body first. And a lot of mindfulness practices do teach that. It's not that it's completely devoid of this type of awareness. In fact, a lot of them start with body scanning and yoga, and that's a really great way to get in touch with your body. But still, even with all of that, we struggle with our physical well-being. Our weight is one of the biggest things, right? And now, this isn't to say that there is a weight that we should all be at, or that the BMI system should be a gauge for us. And the BMI system is fundamentally flawed. So a right-sized body really is a personal thing, I believe. But the bottom line is we are facing a lot of chronic disease, and a lot of it does start with obesity and metabolic disorders. So long story short, what is our body mostly composed of? It's what we eat. Diet in traditional Tibetan medicine is considered the first line of treatment. It's the first thing we talk about. Ze, diet. Nutrition is like the connection between ourselves and the outer world, quite literally. It's the stored energy of the sun and the earth. It's all of the elements gathered together, and it's where we get our energy from. Food is a foundation of our life, and it is the most important mindfulness for us to keep. We need to be very aware of how we're eating, how much we're eating, and what we're eating. So this itself is what I believe to be one of the most important mindfulness practices. Also, how we move our body is very important. Sitting on a cushion is great, but we are living in a sedentary world. We sit in front of computers all day. We sit on our couches all day, snacking on food. Moving our bodies is one of the most important mindfulness practices that we have. Now, earlier I said that oftentimes exercise is looked at as the first way to lose weight, and I believe that's fundamentally flawed. And my own 60-pound physical transformation is here to prove the point. I did not use exercise to lose the weight. I ate a lot of amazing whole foods, 3 big full meals a day, and I was able to lose 60 pounds in less than a year. We do not need to exercise in order to lose weight, but we do need to exercise to be happy. We do need to exercise to feel good in our bodies, and we do need to exercise for our cardiovascular health, for our heart. So exercise is another critical mindfulness. It is what we should be doing first, honestly, before sitting on the pillow. If we're not eating right and we're not moving our bodies in joyful ways, I don't think it's worthwhile to sit on the cushion. Unless maybe you're an incredible yogi in the mountains and you have a life that's super carefree and you don't have a lot of responsibilities and you need to walk around in order to use the toilet and all of those things, maybe not. But for most of us out there, I believe that is one of the keys to unlocking the doors to mindful awareness.